Thank you for tuning in to I've Got Favor, where it's your time to shine with your host, Prophetess T. Hey, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are on God's green earth. I want to thank you for tuning in to I've Got Favor, where it's your time to shine with me, your hostess, Prophetess T. Hey, guys, I'm so excited about this evening. We've got on a new author, a woman that I've known for some years, that's going to get into a conversation about something we don't really talk about, and that's when you have to care for somebody who might be suffering from dementia or Alzheimer's. And it's wonderful how she's willing to share the journey that she went through with her mother. So she decided to put it all together in a book. I mean, even giving you some information on, how you have to deal with your mental health as well as being the caregiver. And she's an amazing woman. She's a veteran, a mother, a minister. I mean, she has a plethora of hats. So I'm just so excited to share with you, our guest, this woman of God and the favor that God has upon her to give her that dunamis power to strive and excel and keep doing what she's doing in all aspects of her house and outside of her house. Like I said, she wears many hats. So do me a favor real quick. At the bottom of your screen, hit that share button. You know how we do. Invite your friends, your foes, everybody in. And let's sit down and get into this good tea with our guest tonight, Author Marlean Acker. Hey.
Hey.
How you doing this evening? Yes, finally. After all that trouble.
It's a little struggle.
But it's worth it. I'm so excited. Thank you for being willing to give up your time to sit down and chat with us a little bit this evening. So I wanted to get into telling them a little bit more about you. Guys, I'm gonna read you her bio. So bear with me a little bit here. I had it pulled up in front of me and then closed my phone down for a minute and I lost my place. What did I do with it? It's terrible. What you do with it, T? Okay, here we go. I'm sorry, y'all. Slow. So Elder Marlean Loretta Acker is am I saying your last name right or am I killing it?
That's correct.
Okay. A native of Chicago. She was reared a military brat by Leon May Sr. and Barbara. Marlean attended private schools from elementary to high school in Chicago. She received a full academic scholarship, attending and graduating from Roosevelt University with a bachelor's degree in business administration. She joined the Air Force on graduation as an officer and spent 12 years serving her country. And while on active duty, received a master's degree in public administration from the University of the Philippines. Transitioned to civilian life, working with at-risk youth from ages 16 to 24 with Job Corps in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and Little Rock, Arkansas for 10 years. God has blessed her with a son, Jason, and a daughter that she adopted from overseas, Marlean. She married the love of her life, which is our friend, our dad. I want to say we adopted him, David Acker, in 2000. And this union produced a blended family of 7 children, 28 grandchildren, and 12 greats. Elder Acker joined the staff of Promised Land in 99, initially as a volunteer, and assisted in licensing the daycare facility where she served as its director. She was eventually promoted to the responsibility for daily operations of the ministry as the director of operations. She ministered to at-risk children in the Pines apartment with weekly Bible study and field trips to various cultural venues. She has recently devoted her time to caring for her aging mother and a promise she made to her years ago until her passing in 2013. So over the past 40 years, she has been a Sunday school teacher and Bible study teacher, a choir member, dancer, and a preacher. She serves with her husband, Pastor King David Acker, and at God's pleasure at you're at In His Presence Ministry right now, right?
Yeah, that's the name of our ministry, though, Redeeming Christ Ministries.
Okay, and
That's how we
Redeemed
do
Christ
it.
Ministries.
There
So
you
we
go.
praise the Lord for you.
Thank
Amen.
you.
So
Thank
once
you.
again, like I said, I want to thank you for the opportunity to sit down, share with us a little bit about the book. So let's get into this good tea. What inspired you to go ahead and put a book out talking about, dementia and Alzheimer's and such?
When I had my mom with us, the main thing was that when it started, we felt like we were by ourselves and nobody understood what we were going through. And I started to journal. And the reason why I found out a lot of people are going through it is I went to group. And that's the one thing, excuse me, I encourage people to do is to find a self-help group dealing with whatever you're a caregiver for. It's not necessarily just dementia and Alzheimer's, but anytime you're a caregiver, it's a struggle. And you feel like you're struggling by yourself because 99% of the time your siblings are not helping. You may have a supportive spouse, you may not. It's a lot of variables. And I started writing, journaling and writing things down as we were going through this struggle because I knew I was going to be able to help somebody else. I didn't really know I was going to write a book, but that's how it turned out.
Well, I'm truly glad and proud of you for doing that because these are conversations we don't really get into, even in the church house. We don't talk about, the struggles that you can have and how it's okay to be, be one that can voice and say that you're struggling. Um, so, in the experience that you went through, like I said, I noticed that you were saying that sometimes you don't have the support of the rest of your family. Is that something that you went through, and how did you find out about even the support groups? Because I didn't know anything like that was around here.
Well, basically, I'm my only child now. My brother's not alive, so I was the only choice. So
Oh my.
I didn't have any siblings to pull on or to disappoint me. So, but I had a very, very supportive husband. Actually, my husband, King David, was mom's major caregiver because I still worked. So
Mm.
we still have another book if I when I sit down and interview him because this book is really from my perspective or when we were dealing with her together. Now he spent every day with her every day until I put her in daycare in the afternoon, so he has a lot he has a lot more stories than I do.
So, how did you find out that she was suffering from this? Did
Well,
you
we
get like?
noticed. Thank you for asking me that because people don't seem to notice it. It's subtle. There's a movie we watched that would talk about people talked about this lady was going through this, she writing herself notes. It starts out with the note writing. When they're
Uh-huh.
writing self reminder notes, when she come and visit us on the holidays, she would be writing reminder notes. I need to pay the telephone bill, or I need to call somebody, or I need to pay the rent, or whatever. So she was starting to get forgetful, like maybe 5 years before she moved in with us. She started to get forgetful. It's just like things she had to remind herself on paper. I mean, she was still functioning, but she was writing herself notes, and we noticed that, and we looked at each other like something is going on, and it just kind of deteriorated from there. And she lived with my brother's, the mom of his children, because he passed away back in '99. And this young lady was not really mentally capable of dealing with what mom was going through. She was really mom was head of the house, but she was changing. And we
Uh-huh.
noticed it when she visited with us.
Hmm. So, how did you approach her about this? Because I mean, did she come to y'all and tell y'all that she had been diagnosed with this, or you know?
No, no. By the time we got her, she was in completely immersed, meaning she was leaving the house and not coming home and I wasn't told this because I'm here and she's in Chicago. She was leaving home, be gone all day. She was going to the bank every day, which was downtown Chicago, catching the train and going downtown every day. And what happened was, it was tragedy that happened. And I don't want, the viewers to cry, but get your tissue. But we got a call. You need to come and get your mom. I'm like, who is this and what are you talking about exactly? She said, you need to come and get your mom because Tanya, that's the young lady with the children staying with my mom, is in the hospital. I said, really? And your mom is in the hospital. What? Been there for a week and they didn't know who she was.
Oh
What
my.
happened is she was found in the streets of Chicago, no identification, no purse, and no shoes.
Oh
And
my.
she had hit her head, or either she had got hit in the head. We don't know. So from that point, I kicked into action, called my daughter, who lives up there, and my son-in-law, and they put her, found the hospital she was in. I said, no one else is to release her out of the hospital. No one else is to take her out of the building but my daughter and her husband. So they went and put her in a nursing home until my daughter could come and pick her up. She escaped from there twice.
Oh
I mean,
my.
escape artist. She went one time. My son-in-law got her back to the apartment. The second time, she went back to the hospital and was cussing them out about she wanted to see her doctor. I mean, people with dementia are very, very in tune with their feelings, how they feel about things. So she was giving them the what for. So the police had to take her back to the nursing home. I'm like, oh my God, I can't get there fast enough. So they finally wrangled her. So now you got a situation where someone has to double lock the door, put a chair in front of the door, because anyone with dementia, and everybody that knows this can raise their hand and say this is so true. The main thing they want to do if they're not in their own home is get home. Period.
Mm.
I gotta go. I gotta get home. That's the only thing on their mind 24/7 is how to get home. And if they're at home, then they're a little bit easier to deal with. But then they want to know why you in their house. Why are you in my house? Why
Mhm.
are you not leaving? You know what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
anyway, we finally got to Chicago, picked her up, brought her back. We just convinced her we were taking her home, and
Mm.
we kept driving. After the young lady actually passed away. She had lupus, and I think lupus is a autoimmune that's triggered by stress. I think
Uh-huh.
the stress of dealing with my mom might have killed that young lady. I don't know. I can't say that, but she died. I'm just saying, a young woman. She's in her 40s, young woman. So
Mhm.
that's how we got her here. And from that point, uh, the book talks about how we had to get her medication together, get her a doctor. A lot of things had to happen, but the main thing was keeping her from escaping.
My goodness. So did you go you said that King Ackler was the one that was actually the one that spent most of his time with her. So how do you uh, I'm just thinking I know I had taken care of my mother for 4 years and I'm not a caregiver. I couldn't do it. Um I tried, but
Everybody, everybody's not. I'm just saying.
I felt bad, especially because she was going against me. Everything I was doing for her
Right,
went against me, and it didn't help that she was calling people and telling them stuff. So
wow,
they looked at me as being the mean daughter when all I was doing was trying to keep her alive.
right. And
Um,
that's what you run into when you have others that have input. We were blessed in the fact that no one else had input. Okay,
mhm,
say what you want to say. We didn't have any siblings or anybody to deal with. And my husband, by he was retired when we got her. He's already retired, so he was home. So they had interesting arguments and whatever, but uh, hey, he loved a good argument. Hey, let's just argue, you know. And they go toe to toe, and then she gets sick and tired of it and go to her room or whatever. But he was the saint that, I mean, everything fell into place the way we needed it. He retired medically. We were able to just do this thing. I'm not a caregiver either. To tell you the truth, that's the man. Okay. If I had to live with her all day, oh Lord, you're going to daycare because I'm not going to argue with you all day. So what I did is I got the benefits so she could go to daycare in the afternoon, which the daycare that she went to, Rita Deloney's place, was a miracle place. She could lock her door. She knew what to do to deal with her. And she always said when I left her, every day, she said, remember where you left me. Because she didn't want to think I was leaving her in a nursing home.
Mm.
Every day I left her, dropped her off at noon, remember where you left me. And I said, Mom, I know where you are. I'll be right back. And then when I get back, say, oh, I'm glad you remember where you left me.
So tell us what the name of your book is so I can share that with the audience. We can put it in your
Every day, and it's probably looking backwards, but it's when every day is a new day, a life lived with dementia and Alzheimer's.
Every Day is a New Day. And where can they purchase your book?
You can go to marleanacker.com, www.marleanacker.com, and or else they can hit me up on Facebook, and it's at Amazon, and it's also at Barnes and Noble. So they can go to Amazon and just put my name in, and it'll pop up.
Wow, you're in Barnes and Noble. Look at you. All right. I'll have to go out and see. Then I think we got one here. So I'll have to go out and see because I was trying to get it before we got started. You have to excuse me, girl. I am going through the change of life.
Well, I do know I'm
Hot
sick,
flashes
so
ain't
I don't claim that anymore, but I get hot. I don't claim that anymore, though.
Woo! I'm trying not to, but it's just starting.
There you go.
So it comes on like crazy.
It
But
comes up for no reason. But yeah, you can, and they can actually DM me direct, and I can get it to them too. So it's easier. Whatever way is easiest for people is pretty good, and it's easy to get. But I also have in the back of this book journaling, some self-help things in the back. It's like a journal area in the back where caregivers can kind of write their thoughts, or how did their day go, or what things they could have done differently. Because being a caregiver, and you care for your mom, it's like a trial and error. Nobody actually has cornered the market on how to be a caregiver, because it's different for everyone based on the individual you're caring for, right?
Yeah.
It's based on what are their needs, what are their attitudes, they bring their attitudes, their mores, their morals, their emotion, their psyche. So now you're dealing with this whole different person that has changed into somebody you don't really know, and you have to figure out how to care for them. And you got to go everyone from A to Z. What do they like to eat? What do they like to wear? What are their medications? Things you don't think about. Because my mom had nothing. When we got her, she didn't have anything.
So let me ask you this: as you said, she was pretty much full blown in it. So did she recognize you?
Yes, until she died. Until she died, she knew who I was.
So that was kind of good.
She didn't know who my husband was. She didn't have a reference for him. Because to tell you something about Alzheimer's, they are very, very in tune with the past. Their
Okay.
long-term memory is vivid. They can tell you what schools they went to, their best friends in school, where they lived when they were growing up, all of those things. But they cannot tell you what they had for breakfast, or even if they had breakfast.
Wow.
And everybody's different, but that's how my mom was. She would say, well, when you gonna feed me? I said, Mom, I said, don't make me get a camera with a timestamp. Take your picture when you eat and show it to you. Now you're getting smart. I'm still the mama. Okay. It was interesting. I promise you, we chuckled a lot. And sometimes we just wanted to cry.
Yeah. So, I mean, did you find yourself feeling guilty for wanting to take breaks or get away, or how did you work through that process?
So we had no problem taking a break. You just have to learn what to do. Okay, if we want to go out to dinner, we had a decent support system. I have my god sister Christelle, who's a CNA, her daughter. Who else took care of our church family? All kind of gathered in. what do you need? How can we help? So we had people that would take her with them to their home. They knew how to secure their house and keep her inside, thank God. It was challenging for some because they're like, oh, I'm not sure how to do this, but my sister has a double lock inside. So anyway, so we had opportunities to go out, and actually the Alzheimer's Association would give tickets to plays and shows and different things that you get money for care that you could give your caregiver when you go out. Those kind of things you find out through Alzheimer's Association is a good it's a very good reference, people to get in touch with, to stay in touch with. I mean, they were excellent. They taught us how to find a nurse. We went on a cruise. So she was in a nursing home that actually had a memory care wing, meaning those people were locked down. They cannot escape. And then we, got her settled. I put a sign in her room. This is where we are. This is when we'll be back. And my sister went to see her every day. And then, she was still relieved when we picked her up because she really is scared of nursing homes. She's scared she was going to stay. But I told her I would never, ever, 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 ever put her in a nursing home, no matter what.
Okay, we got a question for you.
Okay.
Were you were you able to find out the medical reasons that caused for the Alzheimer's?
We know that she was not on track with her blood pressure medication. And she was not, once she started losing her memory, her medication was really out of whack and her kidneys were shutting down. So it was a combination of those things and her not proper nutrition. Was she forgetting to eat or what? And they say it's heredity, but we don't know because my grandmother died in 1946. So she was raised by her aunts, and none of them went through that. My great aunts, they were lucid until they left here. They like to cuss a lot, but I don't know. Everybody had to be the B word. I'm like, Mom, why is she calling me this? This is ridiculous, because she took care of two of them, one 9 years and one 11 years. So it's a chemical. It's a situation. You don't take care of your body, your brain reacts. So that's what we found out, and that's all we knew. Because she died because her kidney shut down. So.
So the effects of that caused other things to manifest within her.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I said, I know for myself, I admitted, I was just not a very good caregiver. My mother could get around, but she didn't want to. She wanted me to do everything. Unfortunately for me, at the time, the issue was Danny and I had just gotten married.
Right.
She didn't understand. We're newlywed stage. This is my husband. I got to honor him. And the balance, she didn't understand that. She wanted me to give her all of my attention. So how do you
set boundaries?
Yeah, how do you, because you were working outside of the home plus coming home and having to do this and then everything else that you do. You're just an amazing woman.
I mean, I think the main thing is balance. Even though you feel like there's no way, how am I doing all of this and staying sane? You have to find balance. When she was not with us, meaning she was asleep or at daycare or whatever, we always had discussions. We had our alone time with each other. We talked about strategies and things that we wanted to do. And we drug her everywhere we go. She was like the children back in the day, drug to church, drug here and drug everywhere we went, she went. So she was accustomed to, you get your coat, let's go. We did not stop or change our lifestyle for her. We inserted her into our lifestyle. So if we had to be at the church, Bible study, she's in Bible study. We had to go to Sunday school, she's in Sunday school. If we're going to service, she's in service. And I worked at the church. So when I picked up from daycare, I went back to the office. She's sitting there looking at me at the office. I talk about some of that stuff in my book too. But, she had to learn how to be inside of our lives, not us inside of her life, which, she really didn't have a lot of choice, because I'm a little dominant personality, I think. Just a little bit with my military background. And, I'm just kind of stern, but I have to still remember that's mama.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to kind of, put some mittens on, and lighten up a little bit. But we kind of inserted her into our life and got her acclimated so that everything kind of flowed like a fine-tuned machine, because I just don't like disorder. I just can't do chaos. And we didn't have nobody else like you did making input. Like, why I don't know why mom's doing that. Why she wearing that? Or where's she going? What y'all doing? How y'all going on vacation? We didn't have none of that. We did what we wanted to do when we wanted to do it with my mama. So
Yeah, I guess that
and
paid.
she
And the
come
funny
with
thing
us
is,
on vacation. I mean, she's
yeah,
been to Albuquerque and back. She's been to Dallas and back. Hey.
I guess that's one thing we did not do because for one, my mother's religious background was different. So
Mm,
um, she would invite herself every now and again to attend service with us. But I set everything up for her, but in her mindset, she was not elderly. So she did not
oh,
want to be handled as an elderly person.
but
My
she
mother
did,
used to,
but then she did not want to do anything.
right.
Like
That that
that.
was the crazy thing. I was so used to her because my mother was always on the go. She was the go getter. Was the problem solver. All that stuff. She was just busy,
And then
busy,
she
busy,
just shut
busy.
down on you.
Yeah. So she changed. So she was a whole new person when she
Right,
came. And I wasn't so used to her being so clingy and dependent. And
right.
I tried to keep her active. Like I wanted her mind to stay active. So she smoked. I'm like, I'm not going to contribute to you smoking. If you're going to smoke, you're going to buy your own cigarettes. I'm not going to go chase down cigarettes for her. I'm not going to do this. Um, I got her a caregiver. I hired a
Yeah,
caregiver.
yeah, yeah.
She did not like that. She would talk about me bad to the caregiver. She was not happy. It had to be me that she wanted to do everything. And when we didn't get into that, the drag out fight. And then come to find out, well, I kind of knew, but played it over. My mom was addicted to Oxycontin.
Ah,
So she
mhm.
was
So
abusing
that's a
her
personality.
medication.
That really affects your personality. Yeah.
Yeah. So she would run out of meds 2 weeks ahead of time.
Wow.
And of course, that the pharmacists, they had that breakout where people were selling,
Right.
that
Right.
and abusing and stuff. So my mother couldn't play with that. We were in Chicago. She come from Ohio to Chicago with us. She didn't know nobody, but I had to living with that was a lot of pressure. Like I said, how
Hmm.
did you and King's relationships that stay solid? Because I mean, a lot of that for me was causing friction even in my marriage.
I think we just compartmentalize mom. This compartment over here is King and Mom. I'm at work, King and Mom. Hey, how's it going? What's Mom up to? The usual, blah 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 blah. Love you. Talk to you later, blah. And then I come home for lunch and take her to daycare. I mean, we just kind of put everything in. I think we stayed sane and not nervous, and we didn't argue because we agreed on how to handle her. You see what I'm saying? We both agreed on how she was to be handled. They would be arguing all day, and it's like he loved a good argument. I'm like, I don't like to argue. So when I got home, all that arguing was over with. Like, Mom, you can go down there. Why don't you take your puzzle book and go down into your room with that? I'm cooking dinner. But he was so tolerant. I mean, he gets a trophy and a crown and a scepter and everything else because he dealt with mom consistent. I mean, but we just agreed on how we were going to deal with it. We agreed on how we were going to do it. We knew what her strong points were. We knew how to get to her, like chocolate. Okay, if you had some chocolate, it wouldn't care if you was the devil. If you had some chocolate, I'm just saying, it didn't matter. So bribery will get you somewhere. And she liked men. So yeah, she would. I promise you, I put this in my book. I promise you, how pastors shake hands, when you're on your way out of service, have a good day, blah, blah, blah. His wife next to him. My mama get back in line so she could hug pastor again. Like,
Oh my gosh, that sounds like my mother.
yes, I'm Oh, she would say, because she be flirting anywhere, to anybody. I said, Mom, I said, that woman gonna get you by flirting with her husband. Oh, you're not gonna mess with this little old lady. I said, they will jump on you with your little old self. Stop. But that was her lifestyle, because she bowled 6, 7 days a week. Almost every day of the week she would bowl. And bowling alleys are, they talk trash all day, right? They talk
Mm.
trash to each other. They talk trash, they do a lot of stuff in bowling alleys anyway. So that was her life. So she would say things to these young guys they weren't ready for. They would run. She would say something to them, and I'd look at them. I'm like, what just happened? I don't know what she'd be saying. I don't know.
Um,
But anyway, our marriage did not suffer. We didn't struggle. But everybody's situation is different. And all I can do is tell you you have to communicate. Because if you don't communicate, it's going to be a breakdown, because there's no understanding. I don't understand how you feel if you're not telling me. Like, if he felt like too much was on him, I felt like too much was on him. That's why I got the daycare. Because he didn't care. He was with her all day. He didn't care. She didn't need to go to daycare. Sometimes he didn't let her go. She could stay home today. I'm like, okay. Because I come from the church, come down, take her to daycare, and go back. But everybody's different. I just encourage people that are watching us to find out what your resources are. Like you said, you got a caregiver. She didn't like that. Oh, well, that's what you got to get. This is what we're going to do. And sometimes you got to be stricter than you want to be.
mm-hmm.
Sometimes you got to really be firm. You have to still remember that that's your parent or that's your spouse, because I'm really we're major caregivers for our spouses right now, right? But the thing
Yes.
about it is that you got to remember who they are and still be able to get them they have to be inside of the lines. When they're outside the lines, nobody can function. You not functioning, you fussing, you nervous, your husband like, what's your deal? And it's a mess. So you got to be able to get it inside the lines. You may have to push the lines out a little bit, but that's the major thing.
I've got another question for
Oh,
you. So, how does using spirituality help in the case of dementia and Alzheimer's?
I think the main thing is you have to understand that person's spiritual, where they are spiritually. I knew my mom was always a part of her church and Christianity. So we didn't have a different theological background. So
Mm-hmm.
I knew she understood going to church, going to Bible study, studying the word. We prayed over our meals. We prayed together. And I think the fact that both of us being ministers was a strong spiritual atmosphere in our home. The week that she was transitioning, we knew she was going to transition that week, sometime during that week, because she had deteriorated to that point. We weren't sad and in our feelings. We had our TV on Pandora. We picked a few stations that we really liked to come up, and people would come all week to come and see us and come and see her. That's the atmosphere we set always with her. So she understood, she still, and like you said, you had the opposite spiritual situation with your mom. You got to know where they are. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you got to sacrifice where you are in order to reach them. And some people, well, no, you can still pray for them. You can still, God is still God, whether they accept God or not. But you have to accept them, because you're not going to change them at that point. They're not going to
Mm-hmm.
change at that point. So you
Yeah.
have to use your spirituality to gird yourself up and the person that's helping you care for
Yeah. I mean, we would have really good conversations as far as
them.
when we talked about God. It's just the religious, the legalistic stuff, that we didn't agree on. Um, but for me, I guess I never thought about it because when my father was passing, I had made a promise to him that I would see to her. So the guilt of having to let her. I actually had set it up when we moved down here to Kentucky and sent her
Mm-hmm.
back to Ohio for her to be in an assisted living program, and she
Mm-hmm.
sabotaged it. She sabotaged it,
Oh,
but ended up putting herself into a nursing home, and that's what I always said I never wanted to happen. But the guilt of it ate at me continuously because, like I said, my family, and these were people that never took my mother in, mind you.
oh yeah.
Um, never
Oh,
went up to see
yeah.
her at the nursing home, but always had something to say because of the conversation she would have.
Mm-hmm.
But I
Promise
always
you
felt
that you
guilty.
were not by yourself on that one.
Yeah.
That
So
is something that is like something that is common family dynamics. They don't, they're not supportive. They don't go see this person. They didn't volunteer to take them in. They did, all I hear this a lot because I have a lot of these conversations because I bring up my book or else I bring up my mom or we're reminiscing or I run into somebody. But the thing is these people are poison. And the problem you have is that you listen to them. It's like click. You learn how to hang up on people. You learn how to not hear it, not hear it, not hear it, because it will affect you. And there's no way it won't if you
yeah.
listen. Because I
I
know
was
you. I mean, you went through that,
I was very good at not responding because I knew they didn't have the whole story. They were
right?
only hearing part of it, and I knew
And she
how
must have been
manipulative.
calling it because they wasn't calling her, were they?
No.
She was
So
calling it, right?
yeah. I mean,
Um,
she was instigating it and they were feeding into it.
right.
But like I said, for those of us like my niece, she knew, and it was only like my immediate family kind of knew my mom was addicted to Oxycontin. I didn't want to put that, I didn't feel like it was everybody's business, so I didn't put it out.
Mm-mm.
So, but yeah, when she died, man, I heard it from everybody telling
Mm,
me about how I wasn't this and that, and I thought to myself, not once did you go see her. Not once did you take her nothing. You don't know half of anything, but I didn't go off. I cried by myself.
there you go.
You
There you go.
know,
Let them see you sweat.
yeah, but I never responded to them. And even to this day, I choose not to because I know they only have one side of the story. So I don't really care what anybody thinks of me because I'm honest with it. I'm not a caregiver. I just wasn't built for that. I didn't have the patience to deal with the addiction part. I didn't.
Right, right, and
I
and it
grew
takes
up with that, and
it's
I
a
just did
special
not
call.
want to deal with it.
That's a special calling because people get into that. I mean, a specialty. I mean, they study it and they still don't have a handle on it.
Yeah,
Everybody can't deal with everything. I mean, no. Mm-mm.
it was
And
a
the
lot.
education that you can't. It's a lot. Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah, because both of us are alpha females, like you were saying. So we
Mm-hmm.
were at each other like this.
Oh, yeah, my mom was an alpha female, but I had the alpha going on. So I,
I tried. I just felt so bad for Danny.
hey,
He, he
it
would
could
run down the studio, put his headphones on because he's like, I don't want to hear this.
My little
And
mama was like 5 feet. She claimed she was 5'1", and I'm 5'9.5". So I was all kind of like Hong Kong, like King Kong dominant up in her. But then when
yeah.
she I'm the mama,
Well, we the same height, so I
right
couldn't pull that.
there.
And then she wanted to box. I didn't want to box her. She wanted to
Oh
hit.
no, Jackson,
So
no.
I had to contend with that too, like I said. But so
Wow.
finally I just thought, Mom, if you think you can do it better somewhere else and I'm not making you happy, and I had to save my marriage. Because like I said, I just got into it.
Like
So I gave her the option. I said, since you say you do better off back there, and it turned out horrible. But she ended up putting herself in a nursing home. But eventually she and I made peace. So I was glad for that.
yeah,
That much. Once we just made it. Danny and I agreed that from this point on, we wouldn't do family in the house no more. Either side, because neither one of us was
my
made
dad,
for that. It's
my
not my
dad is
calling.
my dad is he's the only one alive out of all his wives, including my mom. He's the only one alive now. He's 87. He's in a veterans home up in Lafayette, and he only has one leg because diabetes anyway, and he's not walking on his prosthetic. He's not doing anything but sitting in a chair or sitting in the bed or sitting, in the wheelchair, whatever. And he keeps saying, well, I was praying that I can come down there and stay in your basement. I said, they don't have no basement. I said, they take good care of you up there because I'm not capable of taking care of you. I'd have to hire someone. I said, because I'm not, and I get honest. I mean, you have to get bluntly honest that I'm not changing no diapers. I'm not doing that, Dad. You need to stay right there where those people are taking excellent care of you in that veterans home. They cook you 3 meals a day and snacks. I'm going to work. We're going to be doing all of that. So he's like, oh, and then he changed the subject. It's like, every conversation, that's our conversation. But I done compartmentalized Dad on that. And none of my siblings are speaking to him right now. I'm like, he's all they got. And then when he leaves here, don't be slinging snot and all, I'm just like, I will hit you in the eye. There'll be some fighting up in the funeral.
You're a mess. I
I
know that.
Yes. How you gonna be mad at an 87-year-old man? I don't know what he did.
Right.
It's all you got left.
And
Call the man. Right on.
I try to tell the younger generations that, my nieces and nephews, I'm not familiar with all of them. My brothers were loose like that. And then some of the baby mamas was a little nuts. So I didn't really get to know some of my nieces and nephews. But I was trying to tell them, y'all have to remember that, we didn't know what we was doing half the time. There's no book that comes with having babies and kids and stuff. And sometimes people get to a point where they don't even remember the things that they did. But for your own sake, forgive and move on. Because even this, now we know spiritually that if you hold on to harbor bitterness and anger and stuff, it could cause your body to deteriorate. The kidney issues, cancer, high blood pressure, diabetes stuff.
Diabetes, yeah, you set yourself up. Your body break down on you.
So yeah, I appreciate you.
I have siblings I haven't met.
Well, I mean, we go through.
I do, and they got the nerve to be mad at Dad. I'm like, do you?
Man, well, like you said, you only get one parent.
You only get one time to have. I mean, he is the reason you live. Man has the seed. Woman carries the seed. He is the reason why you are here, and you mad at him. Really? They don't know the in the biblical sense. To honor him will extend their lives.
Amen. There you go. That right there is what they don't pay attention to. So that your days will be long. That's what Scripture said. And they don't understand it. I know I had 2 cousins that did that. Cussed their mama out in the street. Both of them died in their 30s. Both of them. So yeah. So I appreciate you so much for sharing this. Can we get the name of your book again? And
When Every Day is a New Day, a life lived with dementia and Alzheimer's. And if they want to just, Marlean is not spelled like normal people, because my mother was a phonetic speller. So it's Marlean, like lean on me. So it's Marlean Acker, ACKER.com. So that's my website. So you can go and order the book, or you can put my name in at Amazon and it'll pop up. It's got a beautiful orange and yellow cover, so you know you got the right book. And also, if you want to hit me up on Facebook, go in my DM, and I'll answer you and get the book to you, because I have some on hand also.
Awesome. And like I said, I'm so proud of you. This being your first, correct?
First, and I think the next one, the King, is going to be the one that'll be highlighted in that one.
All right. So yeah, we didn't even talk about that. So you were dealing with that as well as your husband.
Right. And because my husband had major heart failure, that's why he's not working. He hasn't worked since 2005. So he was already not working. So I took care of his appointments. I took care of her appointments. I took care of my appointments. I'm his administrative assistant in the ministry. And, you name it. I had so many hats. And people are like, how can you do all of these things? I say, I have no idea.
I say you got superpowers. You
Yeah,
go
everybody has their own little compartment. That's where they are.
and still smiling and jubilant. You're always full of energy every time we come across you. I just love your spirit.
I take naps.
Those are good things.
I
Danny
love
said he
naps.
sends his love too. Danny said he
Yeah,
loves
right. My husband loves him some. Oh my goodness. When they get together, they just tickle me because they don't
you.
say much.
No, neither one of them.
And it seems like they both gonna cry. And I'm like, don't start crying.
Yeah,
They
twins in
love
the
each
spirit.
other. They love each other. They're so happy they're in each other's life.
I think I done took over both sets of hats now.
Uh oh. Uh oh, you wearing all the hats. Well, King will be giving some more.
I love his hats. I get so many compliments, and I tell everybody this comes from somebody that's very near and dear from my heart. So
Uh,
the
that's so
people with my
sweet. I'm
attitude
just
is,
crying at the end. Mess up my eyelashes.
oh, we just love y'all spirit. We enjoy you guys each and every year. We look forward to seeing you in 2023.
Yes,
And
ma'am. And if
I,
because it wasn't so far, we come see you. But that, old people don't drive that far no more.
honey, Danny and I are getting that way too. We're not going to travel as much next year.
We
Um,
travel, but we ain't driving.
well, we drive, so
No.
and until that day,
Yes, ma'am.
and
Until that day.
we're trying to figure out who we can get to be our chauffeur.
There you go. There you go. I'm not one of them little nephews or somebody coming over here and drive us around.
So I am truly honored to have you on here. I just bless
And I
God
thank
for
you
the
for
people.
having me. You could have chosen anyone. To be chosen is an honor. Thank you so
How
much.
could I not? How could I not? And tell King we love him.
You can hear him.
And
He's on the other side of the room waiting
hey,
for me to turn
King,
his up.
Daddy King. We love you. We love you. Just to give y'all a little bit of an update, we're going to be sharing a little later on. I'll just give you a little bit of the tea. Danny's going before the University of Cincinnati for consideration of a kidney.
Oh,
So the process starts in January. We got to run his stress test and all those things, and then
oh,
they're going to sit down and meet with him. We met the head of the department for the University of Cincinnati. He came down and interviewed Danny.
oh. So they're gonna do some. What are they gonna be doing?
So he has to. There's still some requirements that he has to have done before he
Mm-hmm.
can sit before the board, and then they vote. You know how they do.
Mm-hmm.
They consider it. I've signed up as a kidney donor.
Mm.
So after once they approve him to receive, they'll test me to see if we match, if we're
All
compatible,
right.
and
That
then
is
we'll go from there.
awesome. That's some good tea. That's got
Yes, ma'am.
honey and
We'll get.
cinnamon in
We're gonna actually have a program on it towards the end of January. I'm going to interview Danny, and he's going to talk about it,
there.
and
Awesome.
then we'll update you guys to all of that because that's just a little bit of it. So I have to tell you everything later on next
All
year.
right.
Our year's starting off blessed and highly favored already.
The favorite, of course.
Yes. All right. Well, I don't want to keep you on too much more. I want to thank you so much. I appreciate you. Um, Guys, I want to make sure y'all get that book. Danny, go ahead and post that information back up there again. Every Day is a New Day by Author Marlean Acker. You can go to marleanacker.com and get the book, or you can go on Amazon. And she also said it is in Barnes and Nobles. So don't you guys forget that. This is just to give you some information. Those of you who might be in a position where you have to caregive for a parent or maybe even a spouse.
Mm-hmm.
Both
Yeah.
of us are in that same situation. And
Mm-hmm.
she said it doesn't even specifically have to be for the Alzheimer's or dementia. This is for anybody that does any type of caregiving. There might be some good information, some good tea in that book that'll
Yeah,
help
definitely.
inspire you and encourage you to keep doing what you do. So, Marlene, once again, we thank you. We appreciate you. Tell King we said hey. Hang on a minute, don't go nowhere. All
Uh,
right. So, guys, I want to thank you for tuning in to I Got Favor, where it's always your time to shine. Remember, we're here to inspire you to renew your mind and get a right spirit so you can be healthy and healthy relationships. I want to remind you that in the month of December, we kind of been saying some things that kind of keep you motivated, because we know that around the holidays, it can be a lot for some people. Not everybody is into celebrating. This year is really a struggle for me. I myself am not in the holiday spirit. I'm struggling because I'm going through really bad. But God, right? So I'm not going to house myself here. Remember to stay focused on the good things. And there is always somebody that you can reach out to. Don't ever feel that you're alone in it. You're never alone. God never leaves you nor forsake you. Once again, if you need to, they have the 988 system in place. If you're having suicidal thoughts or you feel like you're alone and you need somebody to talk to, hit that number on your phone. 988 is a hotline. It's okay to ask for help. It's okay to reach out to somebody. Even if, like I said, you're a person who's caregiving and you don't know what to do and you want to pull your hair out and maybe you're stressing, honey, that's for you as well. Reach to somebody, reach out to somebody. Don't think you have to suffer in silence. You do not. We all go through. Me too. I'm going through right now, but we're going to come out all right. All right. So again, thank you for tuning in to I've Got Favor, where it's your time with me, your host, Prophetess T. Be blessed and have a prosperous weekend. We thank you for tuning in to I've Got Favor, where it's your time to shine with Prophetess T.